Hare Krishna Muktane Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Do you know if Vanamali Pandit Prabhu will be joining us in the morning?
Well, we were talking about it at the end of class at about 9 o'clock. So I think I'm pretty sure he'll be here or from his room maybe. I'm in the temple room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably we'll give a couple of minutes to start to see if Prabhuji joins.
Yeah.
Then you can go ahead to give your homages, Prabhu.
Are there other people joined yet or not yet?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, we have Shyamarapa Prabhu, Karuna Mataji, and like few other devotees.
All right. Well, I'm almost ready. About 30 seconds and I'll be ready.
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah, I'll try to reach out to Vanamali Prabhu.
All right.
Mukta Prabhu, if you want, I can go first, and then wait, gives you a little time to, and that way more people join on when you are ready.
Whatever you. Yeah.
Whatever you like, Prabhu.
Just tell me when I'm ready. Let's see. I'm just reading a couple things from Lilamrita from Prabhupada's diary, crossing on the ship.
Yeah, I think Vanamali Prabhu might not be available right now. So Muktan Prabhu, we can actually start I think we have many of our devotees already joined with us. Like we have Nishkinshnitai Prabhu, Bhima Prabhu also. So
Okay. We'll just start.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. All right. I'm just reading a little bit from Prabhupada's diary when he was on the Jaladuta. This is from Thursday, September 9th. So it's just a few days before he got to Boston. It says, to 4 o'clock this afternoon, we have crossed over the Atlantic Ocean for 24 hours. The whole day was clear and almost smooth. I am taking my food regularly and have got some strength to struggle. There is also a slight tacking of the ship, and I'm feeling a slight headache also. But I am struggling, and the nectarine of life is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the source of all my vitality. This is Friday, September 10th. Today the ship is plying very smoothly. I feel today better, but I am feeling separation from Sri Vrindavan and my Lord Sri Govinda, Gopinath, Radha Damodar. The only solace is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which I am tasting the nectarine of Lord Chaitanya's life. I have left Bharatabhumi just to execute the order of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification, but have taken up the risk just to carry out the order of His divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy, so far away from Vrindavan. You can hear, and when somebody writes in their diary, and when Prabhupada was writing in his diary, he didn't mean it. When the devotees found it a couple of years later, when ISKCON was already a little established, they were really surprised, and they asked Prabhupada if they could print it or share it among the devotees, and he said yes. But at the time he wrote it, he wasn't thinking it was for anybody else other than for himself and Krishna. And so you can see that he's, you can hear his mood, his feeling about what he's doing. During the voyage, Srila Prabhupada sometimes stood on deck at the ship's rail, watching the ocean and the sky and thinking of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vrindavan Dham, and the order of his spiritual master to go preach in the West. Mrs. Pandya, the captain's wife, whom Srila Prabhupada considered to be an intelligent and learned lady, foretold Srila Prabhupada's future. If he were to pass beyond this crisis in his health, she said, it would indicate the goodwill of Krishna. And there was, Prabhupada says, Satsvarup Maharaj says that the ocean was unusually calm that year. And Prabhupada said, Krishna has taken charge of this ship. And so if the Atlantic had shown its usual face, perhaps he wouldn't have survived. And this is an entry from September 13th in Prabhupada's diary. He said, 32nd day of journey, cooked bati khichdi. It appeared to be delicious, so I was able to take some food. Today I have disclosed my mind to my companion, Lord Sri Krishna. There is a Bengali poem made by me in this connection. This poem was a prayer to Lord Krishna and is filled with Prabhupada's devotional confidence in the mission that he had undertaken on behalf of his spiritual master. An English translation of the opening stanzas as follows. I'll just read the first couple of verses. I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is very dear to Lord Gauranga, the son of Mother Sachi, is unparalleled in his service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. He is that great saintly spiritual master who bestows intense devotion to Krishna at different places throughout the world. And the last stanza of this poem is, today that remembrance of you came to me in a very nice way. Because I have a great longing, I called to you. I am your eternal servant, and therefore I desire your association so much. O Lord Krishna, except for you, there is no means of success. So we always talk about how Prabhupada is the intimate associate of Krishna, eternal associate. He's sent here by Krishna specifically just to save the fallen souls. And so now he writes this in these verses. The remembrance of you came to me in a very nice way. Because I have a great longing, I called to you. I am your eternal servant. And therefore I desire your association so much. So Prabhupada refers to Krishna as I spoke to my companion. I talked to Krishna. And I spoke to him about these things. Anyways, I went out. CB was there, and Chattamai and Prahlad Desh, and I went out. We were at Commonwealth Pier this morning at 5 o'clock. We did Guru Puja at 5:30, and and it was real nice. And you had a real feeling because must have been exactly the same, cold and dark and lonely, even much more lonely in those days because now that area there is really built up and nice. But at the time, in the mid 60s, the waterfront was just a crummy old rundown place just for loading and unloading ships. And but he got off the ship. It's cold and dark, and Prabhupada is in a strange place. Like, wow, how did I get here? You know how you feel when you go to some place you've never been before, and if you're by yourself, and maybe they don't speak your language, and you just feel like like strange, like, why am I here? How did I get here? And especially you don't know anybody, you don't have any money, you don't know anyone except Krishna, and he's just, and you came to spread Krishna consciousness and save the whole world. So what an incredible feel! What an like a daunting feeling that must have been for Prabhupada. And you could have some sense. I had some sense of that, a little bit, just a tiny bit of sense of that this morning. And when we go there every year, you feel like that a little bit. Like you can imagine what Prabhupada thought. You can try to imagine what he thought or felt when he got off the Jaladuta. Okay, I've spoken enough. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mukhana Prabhu. Thanks for those memories. Next, we have Shyamarupa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Om Agana Timanda Shagyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshataya. Hare Krishna. So good morning, everyone. Happy the day that we celebrate Srila Prabhupada's arrival to America. Of course, we're very fortunate here in Boston that his first port of entry into the United States was our fair city. As Mukta had pointed out, the waterfront of Boston is not much to look at now, but was even less then. So you can imagine having disembarked from that ship and gone on a walking tour of the city because the captain was shopping for provisions for his return journey. And he saw firsthand what America was like. And realizing how daunting the task would be to implement and to bring Krishna consciousness, the most sublime relationship and process to connecting with the Lord, to a populace that was very much immersed in the modes of passion and ignorance. You can imagine it must have been something like Lord Brahma seeing the waters of devastation and the void around him, having to create the universe, or Arjun having Krishna drive his chariot in between two armies and seeing what was before him. And so, as Mukta had related, Prabhupada had seen firsthand what Americans were like, who he had to preach to, and he realized this was going to be a major task. I can't do this on my own. Krishna, this is up to you. So he composed, of course, that beautiful poem, earlier in the journey, but he composed Srimad-Bhagavatam, preaching Krishna consciousness in America. Markine is the Bengali term for America. And I thought I'd take the opportunity to read that because I think it's, as they say, the reason for the season, the significance and the depth of this holy day of Srila Prabhupada's arrival is the fact that Prabhupada, a pure devotee of Krishna, seeing the fallen state of those of us in the West, prayed directly for Krishna that we may be liberated from our condition and come to the point of being able to understand and appreciate the sublime message of Vasudeva. So I'll just read the poem and then maybe if I have time, one or two things afterwards. So Srila Prabhupada writes, "My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they'll be able to understand it. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible, because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy, so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. And therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of the Srimad-Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. And therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or another, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you've brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on the board of the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated the 18th of September, 1965. Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma Mahotsav Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Sure.
So what humility, what compassion, and what faith. Prabhupada had absolute faith that even though we are so illusioned and so conditioned, still he knew very much that in an instant Krishna could bring us to the point of pure devotional service without even hesitation. But he was depending completely on Krishna. He was completely depending on Krishna before he embarked the Jaladuta. He was depending on Krishna while he was on Jaladuta. And he is completely dependent on Krishna every step of the way. So I think I will end here because I've gone on for a little while. Thank you very much for allowing me to make a simple offering to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada on behalf of my Guru Maharaj. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Shamra Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for reading the translation of Markandeya Bhagavatam. Next, we have His Grace Nishkinchinittai Prabhu. Prabhuji, are you ready?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I just want to make clear first thing, because I have my material duties 10:30. I have a meeting. That's what. There are so many other senior devotees in this group, but still Prabhuji gave me the opportunity because I have meeting. So thank you, Prabhuji. So I was contemplating on the Srimad-Bhagavatam first canto, where the characteristics of Suta Goswami are described by the sages of Naimisharanya before he start speaking Srimad-Bhagavatam in that assembly. So Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, the ability of Acharya is not the repeat the thing as a parrot. Not only that is the ability. Prabhupada, certain time is mentioning that we have to repeat the things from the Guru as it is. That is also important, but that is not only the ability, but the ability is to repeat the message in a such a way that normal public or all classes of men, all levels of men should understand the message, and it should be appealed by all classes of men. So I was thinking that Prabhupada, came to the West because he wanted to deliver this message. He tried in India where he could make only one devotee, and he struggled a lot in India with undergone so many tribulations there, and came to the West carrying the Bhakti Vedanta purport, the 3 printed cantos of Srimad-Bhagavatam, having 2 heart attacks on boat and seasickness. Finally, he reached to Boston Pier, and a beautiful poem which our dear Shamru Prabhu had just mentioned. So he composed that poem. He said, Krishna, I don't know why you brought me here, but please make me dance here. And Prabhupada has full faith on the instruction of his Guru. So it is said that in the 15th verse of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in first chapter, the devotees of the Lord immediately sanctify those who come into touch with them, whereas the Ganges waters can sanctify only after prolonged use. If you want to sanctify yourself in Ganges water, you have to buy ticket for India, you have to go to Haridwar, there is Mandakini Ganga, there is a Bhagirathi Ganga, various places. The Ganga is known by various names. So you have to go there and take a bath. But Prabhupada, Tirthi Kuruvanti Tirthani, the sages like Prabhupada, they carry the holy places in their heart, and wherever they go, they sanctify that places. So Prabhupada, though he said that, please make me dance, but he has full confidence on the order of his Guru, and we see the success of Prabhupada throughout last 55 years. And I guess, if I am not wrong, this is the 55th arrival of Srila Prabhupada, which we are celebrating, because in 2015 we came to Boston, me and Charanu Prabhu's family. So that was, it's a grand celebration in Boston, 50th arrival, and we were really amazed to see how many devotees and glorifying Prabhupada. So it is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said by Kaviraj Goswami, is saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Radha Tattva, Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Bhav, and Rasa Tattva to Ramananda Rai. Okay, he was reciprocating to the devotee as per their ability. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking, he did not talk about Radha Tattva, Krishna Tattva, he talked about philosophy. Shada Goswami, he talked the principles of devotional service. And when he was talking to the normal public, he was, regulated crowd, he was performing the kirtan, outside kirtan, whenever the kirtan was there. So that is the ability of Acharya to, as per, means to appeal all masses of people, whatever absolute truth delivered by the Acharya, it should be appealed by all masses. And that's what Prabhupada did for all of us. He gave the different project to the different devotees. He came to the West, he gave some, writing project to our His Holiness Satswarup Goswami Maharaj, then Padayatra to Loknath Swami Maharaj, then cultivating big people in political field or other having in other departments to our Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So various Maharaj got particular instructions, and Prabhupada never underestimate anyone. As per their ability, propensity, he engaged everyone in Krishna consciousness, and that was the greatest success. And this Prabhupada arrival is not, it's not the ordinary movement. The Prabhupada arrival means arrivals of Krishna consciousness, arrival of Krishna in the heart of all, so that entire Prabhupada built such a home where entire world can live. So So I am praying on this auspicious day to Prabhupada, that Prabhupada, please give us a strength to repeat your words here as you repeated in time, place and circumstances. And with your sincere blessing, only this is possible to establish Krishna consciousness and further spread in these, Western countries. So thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you Muktabande Prabhu and Shamrup Prabhu and Vanwali Prabhu. Thank you very much. And Giridharan Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Next we have His Grace Chaitanya Bhagavat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthapate Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanande Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Vishesha Srimati Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I wanted to just address something from Nectar of Devotion that seemed to really be something that resonated a lot with Prabhupada's arrival in America. And that is from chapter 9 of Nectar of Devotion. It's called Further Consideration of Devotional Principles. Chapter before that, chapter 8, is like Srila Prabhupada's mission. It's almost like his CV, his qualifications, accepting a spiritual master, residing in a holy place, all of these things that really make a devotee a really significant, powerful devotee by spending their life doing these things. It's described in the previous chapter. In this chapter, the chapter is titled Further Consideration of Devotional Principles. And I found it interesting because there's 22 items listed here. And out of the 22, Srila Prabhupada arrived with 8. And the other 17, the other 14 were in a way what he had to establish, but collectively the 22 items are almost like what we would call devotional culture. And in devotional culture, these are the things that I think connected to our current closure with COVID, just that when devotees are interacting with each other, we can also reflect on this day what it must have been like for Srila Prabhupada to arrive with only 8 of 22 items of devotional culture. So I wanted to go over the first 8 really quickly. The first one listed was blasphemy, and that's a consideration about more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, submissive, offering all honor to others and not accept any honor for himself, but also not to, make offenses to devotees. But in this, also a devotee being very humble. Tilak and Tulsi beads. In the Padma Purana, it's understood that devotees of Lord Vishnu in the world have these items. Their presence makes the world purified, and anywhere they remain, they make that place as good as Vaikuntha. I'm also thinking about things like gift shops and how it's difficult now for devotees to get items for devotional service. Singing is an item. So Srila Prabhupada arrived with singing kirtan. You can imagine devotees. Did Srila Prabhupada bring kartals? I had that question about that. Japa, Padma Purana, anyone chanting japa softly or loudly, the path of liberation is open. But that it's also listed that when it's performed and someone can hear it, it's for the benefit of others. Observing arti, celebrations of the Lord. I was thinking about the Janmashtami celebration. Srila Prabhupada celebrated on the Jaladuta, and also our celebrations, our Zoom Janmashtami. Reciting notable prayers, that the devotees' tongues are always decorated with the prayers of the Lord Krishna. And they always give respect even to great saintly persons and sages. So thinking about the prayers that Srila Prabhupada wrote, and even within the prayers that Srila Prabhupada wrote on the Jaladuta, they reference to the other prayers and praying to the other devotees, including his spiritual master. And also in Markini Bhagavad Dharma, make me dance as you like. That particular prayer, reciting notable prayers, and that we also recite notable prayers on this day in honor of that. Submission, in the way that it's described here, is that it's a desire to perform service, a strong desire to perform service. Oh my dear Lord, when will that day come when the bank of the Yamuna I shall be like a madman and continue to chant your holy name with incessant tears flowing from my eyes? Also, this chapter, it's described the longing to fan the Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes, one should learn how to cry for the Lord. One should learn this small technique. And that should be eager to actually cry for the Lord. And then rendering service to the Lord. And Prabhupada describes in Nectar of Devotion, this is a desire to construct beautiful temples and arrange for the worship of Vishnu, so that people may be attracted to visit such temples and thereby be offered the opportunity of dancing before the Lord or chanting the holy name of the Lord, or else hearing the holy name of the Lord. In this way, everyone will be given the chance to elevate himself to the kingdom of God. Even a common man, simply by visiting such a temple, will be able to attain the highest benedictions, not to mention the devotees who are constantly engaged. So these are the vision. These are what Prabhupada carried with him, not just his books, but carried these devotional items with him to bring to America. But the 14 that he established, and the 14 in many ways devotees, is we're also experiencing a world with different types of engagement. We can imagine how important that is, and we can't miss something that we had. You miss what you have when it's gone. And in many ways, Srila Prabhupada instituted these for the first time, and everyone who came after us, all of us, are recipients of that mercy. And that comes in 14 items. Sankirtan, chanting together, with the benediction that activities, all auspicious activities performed are simply to gain a place in the association of the devotees and to chant the glories of the Lord. Accepting flower garlands. When Srila Prabhupada came, there was no making flower garlands, there was no temple, there was no Mahaprasadam flower garlands to give. Dear Krishna, I've taken the things that you have used and enjoyed, such as garlands and flowers and scented oils and garments and ornaments, and I eat only the remnants of your foodstuff because I am your menial servant. So Srila Prabhupada came to a world that he brought that with him so that we can also benefit from that. Dancing before the deities, bowing down in honor of the deity, with the blessing that a person who has offered respects, bowing down before the deity, will not come back to this world because he will go directly back to the abode of Krishna. So when he's coming to a world, it's a world that he's bringing these, but it's also a world that we can experience a little bit of because we're living in separation of these items. It's not just that we feel weird because it's a different way of doing things. These are items of devotional culture. Standing up to receive the Lord. And Prabhupada describes here in connection to Rath Yatra, including the next one, following the deity, and the importance that in such a ceremony, even a chandala, a dog eater, simply out of curiosity, sees the Lord on the cart, he becomes counted as one of the associates of Vishnu. So the benefit that brings to society just by following the Lord, going to the temple of Vishnu on the places of pilgrimage, persons who are impelled by pure devotional service and Krishna consciousness, who therefore go to see the deities of Vishnu in the temple, will surely get relief from entering again into the prison of a mother's womb. The benefits of actually bringing these temples and opening the temples all around the world, the opportunity to circumambulate the temple of Vishnu, erasing repeated birth and death. Archana. Any person within this world who is engaged in the worship of Vishnu can easily achieve the ever blissful kingdom of God. Partaking of prasadam, the Mahaprasadam from the temple. Imagine Prabhupada came to a world where he had to teach everybody to offer food to Krishna so that the world can benefit taking Mahaprasadam. A person who honors prasadam and regularly eats it, not exactly in front of the deity, along with Charanamrita, immediately can achieve the results of pious activities obtained through 10,000 sacrificial rites. Drinking the Charanamrita, which Prabhupada describes that if he simply drinks it, the devotees feel themselves happy in transcendental bliss. Smelling incense, smelling flowers offered to the deity. Srila Prabhupada arrived in a world that didn't have that until Srila Prabhupada brought that to us. And the blessings just associated with that, if the smell of the garland that was offered to the deity in the temple enters into a person's nostrils, immediately his bondage to sinful activities becomes cleared. And even if one has no sinful activities, still, by smelling such remnants of flowers, one can advance from Mayavadi to devotee. Touching the deity. He describes that one who's initiated in practicing Krishna consciousness has the right to touch the deity, and that it erases all, it delivered contamination of material sins. So even devotees who are initiated and who are pujaris having such a difficult time approaching the service to actually perform service, touching the deity and seeing the deity. Dear Vasudev, any person who goes to Vrindavan and sees the deity of Govinda Dev is free from the courthouse of Yamaraj and is allowed to enter the highest planetary systems. So these are just, these come from Nectar of Devotion, but these are the additional items of devotional service. But these items are items that we miss and that we feel separation from, and we feel that separation from those things because we've been given the mercy of those things, which Srila Prabhupada came and didn't have those things and brought those things for us. So on this day, let us be very, very, very grateful to what Srila Prabhupada brought. And it's not just philosophy, it's a whole culture, and it's bringing Krishna consciousness to us, and it's what's keeping us in Krishna consciousness. So we thank the devotees for organizing digital events, online events, YouTube events, and we should pray and really pray to Srila Prabhupada that we can overcome these difficulties and we can get back to business and we can actually engage in the 14 out of 22, the majority of what is devotional culture. We can actually relish in that together. So dear Srila Prabhupada, thank you so much for coming to save us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Chaitanya Bhagavat Prabhu. Thank you for the reminder and summarizing the in Nodi verse chapter. So next we have His Grace Bhima Prabhu. Bhima Prabhu, are you ready? Prabhu, you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Am I unmuted?
Oh yeah.
Am I unmuted?
Now better. Yeah, you are unmuted.
You can hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. All right. It's wonderful to have this virtual association. It's so much needed. And out in the middle of nowhere, and sort of you're being swallowed up by the earth, be swallowed up by. But I depend, of course, on reading Prabhupada's books, and of course these, as Chaitanya Bhagavat was saying, the graciousness of people who are organizing and putting on these meetings. And that's basically what I wanted to say about Prabhupada. I joined the movement right after Prabhupada left in 1980, sort of, and went to New Vrindavan. And what amazed me the most, despite the fact that I was had a minor in philosophy, rather an avid reader. And of course, when I first opened Prabhupada's books, I really couldn't go onward with them because it was a done deal. It was immediate. After all the philosophies I've read, this one, even through simple reasoning and just inductive and deductive logic, let us say, he had at every corner. There was no, as Devamrita Maharaj once said to me, there's no shoulder faking like a man, football player running down the field. He shucks one way, and you can't do that with what Prabhupada brought us. He brought us the truth, and he brought us such beauty, as Chaitanya Bhagavat was saying, all these things like garlands and the chanting and the dancing, even the culture. Prabhupada said, what's going to keep devotees around? And people, ask the devotees, the philosophy or chanting, and said the culture. And that's because a beautiful culture, it's a romantic culture. To think that what we discipline ourselves to do is to have to, sort of at least for myself, through the experience of hard knocks, become exhausted with the material world. And we find Krishna waiting for us, and he's waiting for us because Prabhupada, brought awareness, Krishna consciousness, of Krishna over, and he brought it over, in this package of joy. And when I think of Prabhupada, during this COVID crisis, when I get up in the morning, part of my morning program is to simply go on. Oops, am I still on? Can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, my phone clunked out. When I think of Krishna consciousness, when I get on the Mayapur TV and I visit all the temples for their morning programs, and from Mayapur to Denver to South America, and I see all the devotees, and then I go and look at the festivals and all the Matajis with the saris, all dancing together in unison, like at the Woodstocks, and then the Kirtaniyas with their beautiful voices, and the Maharajas with uh, uh, their wonderful, eloquent lectures and sincere reaching out, not only to the devotees themselves, but to anybody who's visiting these festivals. And, Prabhupada came over as a Bhakti Lata Bij, a seed. And that the DNA of what Prabhupada brought over was everything that was mentioned from the previous devotees speaking about Prabhupada, his books, the philosophy, the means by which the processes, but it's all culminated in this creeper, this tree. Christ said that you judge a tree by its fruit. And so Prabhupada planted that seed with the Bhagavatam and with the Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Sankirtan movement. And what has sprouted out of it, anybody can see. So, all doubt is assuaged. All doubt is defeated if we simply look at the other devotees. If we simply just take some time to appreciate the beauty and the joy and the light in the eyes of the devotees, if you take some time and, look around the city, look at the people, look at the desperation. And I'm sure not all of us are completely free of the media. I mean, if you spend 5 minutes a day listening to what's going on in the world, we can be, and at least we have somewhere to run and hide, take shelter, Saranagati, within this movement. And that's Prabhupada. Here and now, when I see festivals of hundreds of beautiful saris spinning and Prabhuji's jumping and Kirtaniya singing and people clapping and everybody happy. And I remember when I first came to the movement, I had studied this existentialist philosophy, and as Prabhupada said, philosophy without religion or spirituality or this process of yoga of connecting to Krishna himself is dry. I didn't find any dryness. I just saw this beauty. I was amazed. I was like, I got to be celibate. I got to give up intoxication and this and that and the other thing. But there was nothing lacking. Everything was fulfilled. And Prabhupada gave this gift. And this gift keeps giving in the means by his children. All of you are his children. And it's extremely, excuse me, I've got something in my eye. It's extremely moving. When someone is desperate to see that there's a place to go. And so, Prabhupada has given us this, and Prabhupada has not gone. He's more present now than ever. And the more exhausted we are with this illusion, the more we see how present he is. And the more we can see his transcendental, sublime sense of humor in his books and his purports. His purports aren't simply an exposition, an unpacking of what was said, or translation, transliteration. His purports were divine mantras, because you will find, each and every one of us, that if we should have the slightest doubts or misgivings about our relationships within this movement or our relationship with Krishna himself, that if we sincerely, while we chant and pray to Krishna, hold on to these questions, Krishna will, from within, if we read Prabhupada's books, remember Prabhupada was there dictating in the middle of the night. Prabhupada was there writing. And as someone such as myself who keeps a journal, you're more present in your journal than you are just walking around physically. You're not completely there for someone else, but in your journal, when you write something down, that's how you really, really, really feel, because no one's looking over your shoulder. You're not self-conscious. And of course, Prabhupada wasn't self-conscious. He was thinking about Krishna, and he was thinking about his children, which is all of you. And I thank Krishna for all of you. I have no knowledge of Prabhupada. I have very little knowledge of Krishna, but I do have knowledge of all of you. And thanks to modern technology, Yukta Vairagya, that we're able to see everybody all over the world, every town and village, just leaping and singing for joy. Prabhupada didn't ask much of us. He only asked us to, what? Eat food soaked in ghee, or cooked in ghee and soaked in honey and touched by the lips of God. When was that ever a conception in America? You know, and we all can taste it. We can all taste it. It's just different. And what? To dance and sing? To wake up in the middle of the night for a rendezvous with God and his consort, to dance and praise the Lord and make everything feel all right, to make us get through these days, especially these days, Kali Yuga. So anyways, this is all I've got to say. I just want to say all glories to Prabhupada and all glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very
Okay,
much
turn
for
me
the
off.
touching. Thank you very much, Bhima Prabhu, for the touching homage. Next, we have His Grace Sanjay Prabhu. Over to you, Prabhu.
Haribol, Dandavat Pranams, Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastai Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Vanchakalpatarbhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama. Haribol, thank you for allowing me to speak. I will set my clock, so it's 5 minutes. I would like to talk about Srila Prabhupada from my personal point of view. Just short, I became devotee through the books of Srila Prabhupada. And this was in 1990, 1991, that time. So my realization of Srila Prabhupada, or understanding of his mission, is that he came to save our lives, especially mine, and I know many, many devotees whose lives were saved by Srila Prabhupada, directly and by personally and indirectly through his books or his disciples. I was looking for many years for philosophy, for something that will satisfy my spiritual curiosity. And I grew up in Poland, a Catholic country, and somehow, as much as Catholic religion is beautiful, I just could not find satisfactory answers to my questions. So I was searching. So I went through Buddhism and different similar religions and movements, but none of them extinguish the fire of my curiosity. And this is when I got books written by Srila Prabhupada, and then Bhagavad Gita, and then the whole world started changing for me. What was the impact? The impact was that I completely changed, not overnight, but it took me time. I had bad habits that you grow up in a certain society where, there's smoking, drinking, freely, just free relationships and so on. So by reading Srila Prabhupada books with faith, my life has changed. And also through this, because I have changed, so my wife's life also has changed, and my children, and then my friends, and when my parents were alive, their lives were also changed. And anybody who I met after I became a devotee, I'm sure I made some impact, especially on my friends from my kind of previous life, who were able to see me as an example of a change, of almost an impossible change that happened in my life, from negative to positive. And this is all. This is all thanks to Srila Prabhupada's mission, who gave up everything and who came in his elderly age to United States. We travel, we take flights, and we understand how the time difference impacts our body and different climates and so on. And Srila Prabhupada came by boat and had 2 heart attacks on the boat. So that's. Somebody would question, how is that possible that God allows such a suffering of somebody who dedicated his life to serve God? But then you have to read, you have to chant, you have to practice our religion to have that understanding and realization why things like this are happening. Another thing is, look, we travel around the world. We go to different cities, different states, different countries, and there is a temple. And this is such a fantastic feeling, like I was in Spain a couple times, and almost every city that I met devotees. And this is such a fantastic feeling. You feel like at home. You go to the temple, you pay obeisances, you take prasadam, you see the deities, and this is so fantastic. I did not pay attention to it because I took it for granted. But once while in Spain, my wife just made me aware of the fact that almost wherever we go, big city in Europe, there is a temple. And devotees are there, and it's Haribol, Haribol, Prabhu. So this is really fantastic what Srila Prabhupada did. Also, I go to India often. I was in India maybe 10 times already. And I also associated with non-ISKCON maths. And I have to tell you that Srila Prabhupada made adjustments within ISKCON, so we can follow the path of Vaishnava. Otherwise, it would be impossible. It's already difficult to chant 16 rounds and do Arati and Gayatri, and we live in such rush society. And in India, when you go to different maths, you see how austere those devotees live. And that would be impossible for us to follow if Srila Prabhupada did not make those adjustments. in terms of initially when I joined, I thought, oh, I have to give up so many things, because our movement is kind of restrictive. We don't have super many followers because of our restrictions, because we don't do this, we don't do that, and people don't like it, and and it's not easy to follow. But having proper understanding, we can see that there is not much that Prabhupada is asking us to renounce, because whatever we do before we become devotees, except for bad habits, we can continue as a service to our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and Radha Krishna. So that is also very important, that to understand that on one side, initially we think, oh, I have to give up so many things, and then you realize, no, I don't have to. I just have to take care of the basic things, and anything that I do in my life that I have passion. For example, I'm a musician, so I was afraid that I will have to give up playing guitar and singing, and turns out I don't have to do that, because now I can go to the temple and I can sing with you and for the deities, and it's just fantastic. So I'm very happy. I'm very thankful to Srila Prabhupada. I'm very thankful to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Haribol.
much, Sanjay Prabhu. Thank you very much for emphasizing on the effect of book reading. Thank you. Next we have His Grace Gaur Prasad Prabhu. Karuna Mataji, is he here?
Yes. Yes, Karuna is here. I want to begin a lecture, 5-minute talk, not really a lecture, just about Prabhupada. This was a talk that Prabhupada gave when he was here. He had been 6 years here in this country. Om Jnana Timanandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Madho Vishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karanmayam Dadati Swav Vanantikam Vandayam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padma Kamalam Shri Guram Vaishnavam Cha Mukam Karati Vachalam Pangalangati Gerem Yat Kripatam Aham Vande Shri Guru Dina Taranam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nivashesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Katarane. This was a lecture that was given by Srila Prabhupada while he was in Los Angeles. He had been in the United States for 6 years, and he spoke about his coming here to America. The first thing that Srila Prabhupada said was that when he came here to America, he brought a pair of cartwheels, and with these cartwheels, he chanted Hare Krishna. He got hundreds and thousands of other people to chant Hare Krishna, and that he was successful because he had chanted Hare Krishna. He said that, he told us that he had suffered a massive heart attack before that on his way coming here to America, that which everyone knew about. And he said that his time, his date had already been set for when he would leave. He came here on the orders of his spiritual master, but he also came on the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I'd like to just repeat a sloka that he said from Srimad-Bhagavatam. Prithviti achi yatra nagara radi grama Savratra Prachara Haibi Mora Nama. In as many towns and villages as there are on the surface of the earth, my holy name will be chanted. Prabhupada explained that these words were spoken by Lord Chaitanya, who is Sri Krishna Swavam Bhagavan. He's Krishna himself. The only thing he changed the name to was Chaitanya. He explained the reason why he came to America. He said that by coming to America, America was the leader of the world. And if he came to America, he could fulfill the orders of his spiritual master, and he could fulfill the prediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how the holy name would be chanted in every town and village. So this was his purpose here. But he also said to us that he knew that his time had already been set by Krishna as far as how long he would be here. And it was our duty as devotees, as Americans, to take up this process of Krishna consciousness. And if we took up this process of Krishna consciousness, that we would heal our country. But not only would we heal our country, that we would heal the whole world. So we can see, these are not my words, a good friend of mine, Srila Swami Maharaj, told me it's the order of the disciple just to repeat what the spiritual master has to say. And I'm just repeating what Srila Prabhupada is saying. That it's our duty to take up this Krishna consciousness. And by taking up Krishna consciousness, it is our duty to preach this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through every town and village of the world. So this is our benediction, our part of the benediction of the holy name coming here and Srila Prabhupada coming here is that we are also part of this process. The benediction is not only for Prabhupada, but the benediction is for each and every single one of us to fulfill the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Gaur Prasad Prabhu. Next, we have His Grace Ramchan Prabhu.
Krishna Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Navane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Vishesha Shunyavada Pashtatatishthavine. Hare Krishna.
Giridhan Prabhu, you should always say about the next person after this also should be ready. So that way, what happens? It gives an heads up to other devotees. After this, whoever the devotee is there, just like call out his name loudly and tell him that be ready after Ramchandra Prabhu. So that gives you a good heads up to them. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Ramchandra Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you for giving this opportunity, Guruji. So on this holy day, I recount and as a puny person, that I am able to appreciate and appreciate in my heart Srila Prabhupada's fearlessness, compassion to all, his complete dependency on Lord Krishna, and faith in holy name. So Prabhupada, so we know that his travel from India to US to the United States in Jaludutta, Prabhupada was so much fearless and he was completely dependent on Lord Krishna. And even previous to that, there were so many incidents where Srila Prabhupada showed that fearlessness. For example, once when Prabhupada had set up a factory in Lucknow, a large scale factory, and he had taken the building, he had realized that there was ghost, that it was haunted. The building was haunted. The building was haunted. So devotees, and in another place when he had taken a house, so that was also haunted. So devotees and his family members were warning him that it is haunted, it may not be safe. So Prabhupada very confidently said that the ghosts are actually fearful of human beings. We are not supposed to be fearful of ghosts. So Prabhupada went there alone and he was chanting. And in Abhay Chavan movie, which His Holiness Bhakti Chav Samaj directed, there it is shown that the ghost tried to scare Prabhupada, but Prabhupada was completely fearless. He fully knew the philosophy and he fully was dependent on Krishna. So when the ghost came to scare Prabhupada, uh, Prabhupada said, why are you, he started preaching philosophy to the ghost and said that you are in this situation because of your past sinful activities. And then he asked the ghost to chant the holy name. And when the ghost and Prabhupada helped the ghost, and by Prabhupada chanting the holy name, the ghost got purified and liberated. In another case, during the World War time, when the Japanese was raiding the streets of Calcutta with bombs, everyone was moving to Mayapur. And Prabhupada, on the other hand, he was fully dependent on Krishna. Prabhupada was making kachavis. And not only that, even Prabhupada, along with one of his god brothers, Srila Swami Maharaj, they went in the streets and they were chanting the holy name. I'm doing holy name Hare Krishna. They were doing Harinam Sankirtan. So even in such a scary situation, Prabhupada was always thinking of others, and he was so compassionate that he was doing Harinam Sankirtan. So I thank Srila Prabhupada for setting such an example and for all the compassion. Without him, I could have never dreamt of coming into or knowing about Krishna, about Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Shamshan Prabhu. So, Vanamali Prabhu, think all we have all the scheduled speakers spoken. Now it's your turn to speak, Prabhu, and after that you can open the floor to anyone else on the Zoom call. Hare Krishna, Vanamali Prabhu.
I'm there. I think maybe let's ask if anyone wants to speak first. Let's see around.
Sure.
Anyone has anything to say for a couple of minutes?
Hare Krishna, bro. I would like to say something.
Yes, Suyak Prabhu, please. Haribol.
Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtai Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyamadi Paschati Deshatarane. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I would like to thanks to organizers for giving me this opportunity, even though I'm not qualified to speak. यदि प्रभुपाद ना होते तब की होते? I always wonder about this. I cannot imagine the world without Prabhupada. Prabhupada is a person who made a God available to everybody. There were so many people talking about the God and other things of spirituality, but Prabhupada made the God available through his causeless mercy. He made this process of bhakti very simple and very practical, which can be followed by anyone irrespective of their caste, color, and the race. Without saying the qualification, but only out of his mercy, he gave Krishna to everybody. The simplicity of his heart and pure compassion attracted everybody to Krishna consciousness. I'm eternally grateful and obliged to Prabhupada. I pray to Prabhupada to keep his blessings on everybody. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Okay, I think in next 15 minutes we'll be having our prayers. So before that, thank you Kiran Prabhu, and thank you all the assembled Vaishnavas. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. When I was growing up while studying in our school, always there used to be a prayers. The prayers by a very prominent poet, a very well-known poet. He is in fact a saint. He's worshipped as a saint, Jnanadev Maharaj. And Jnanadev, so his prayers used to have one very important and very impactful line, and that was Vishwachi Maje Ghar. And also in the Pasaidan there used to be all prayers for all the fallen souls. So that concept of like how looking at the fallen condition of other people and looking at how we should look at this whole world. So he used to consider this whole world is like is my house. But after many years, when I got to know about Krishna consciousness, it was of course by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Then I learned that how Srila Prabhupada taught us this Vasudeva Kutumbakam. So this whole world is a one family. However, this one family is through the connection with Lord Krishna. That's what I learned later. And then when I came to the United States, and I could see that my connection with people from different backgrounds, different religion, different countries, different nationalities, different races, to name a few. I think we have few of them here. Shamarupa Prabhu, Dinatarini Mataji in those days, and even in the present days now, I'm like pretty much I'm in touch with, and I am connected with so many devotees like Bhima Prabhu. We have Robert Prabhu out here. Yeah. We have Sanjay Prabhu. So many devotees from different backgrounds. I got an opportunity to get connected with them. As Sanjay Prabhu was mentioning that, like, that he considers himself to be as one of the, like, a good example that how Srila Prabhupada had actually saved him. And I would also resonate with the same thing, that in fact, even though people from different other countries other than Eastern countries, like Western countries and other different countries, they may not know about the Krishna consciousness philosophy or maybe about the Krishna. But people from India, even they do know about Krishna, but there is so much of, like, khichadi out there of so many different philosophies, so many different denominations, so many different practices. So it becomes so difficult that one to accept one thing like Krishna consciousness, that actually that becomes a stumbling block, a bigger stumbling block. And that's where, like, all of us were, especially I think many of from Indian background, perhaps they would also have faced the same thing. And so did I, because I did not accept this philosophy very easily. I had to really test it and then accept it. But I'm grateful to all the devotees who have actually instilled the faith in me about this Krishna consciousness philosophy and Srila Prabhupada. And while studying the Krishna consciousness philosophy, then I came to know that, okay, how should a devotee be? Because it is a very far-fetched concept. And we know in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, it is explained that how should a devotee be? Kripalu akruta droha satya sara sama nidosha vadanya murdu shuchi akinchana saropakaraka shanta Krishna ek sharanam akama aniha sthira vijita shadguna mitabhuka apramatta manada amani gambhira karuna maitra kavi daksha mauni. I'll just read only a few lines of this. Devotees are always merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild, and clean. Now, if you go all to these 26 qualities, it would be very difficult for us to find any person around us. However, when we read Srila Prabhupada's biography, then we understand that here is a one person whom our our devotees have actually stayed in, they stayed with him, and they watched him, and they found him that all these 26 qualities actually were they were in Srila Prabhupada, and he was exhibiting all those qualities. So we had in our immediate past, we had one person who could actually exhibit all these qualities. So that's one another that's a testimony with which we can live with which we can practice Krishna consciousness with deeper faith. Now Srila Prabhupada coming to ISKCON to Boston is not a mere chance. Anything and everything which happens in this world, it always happens by the sanction of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada's stepping his foot on the Boston soil made this place as a holy and pilgrim place. So we carry so much of responsibility on our shoulders. Just like how Srila Prabhupada prayed to Lord Krishna as our Shamarupa Prabhu read the entire Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma. So we should also imbibe that spirit of spreading the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to people. His compassion to the suffering people. That's very important, as our Ramchandra Prabhu was also saying that compassion. Srila Prabhupada had immense compassion to all the suffering people. So we all should imbibe, inculcate this spirit, the spirit of spreading the Srila Prabhupada's mission and spreading the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and the compassion spirit. So we don't need to be scholars to be preachers or to spread these teachings. We don't need to be like any intelligent person. We don't need to be wealthy, but we have, whoever we are, whatever we have, we can be a wonderful example, and not stressing people, not stressing others, not finding faults, and try to, if we really want to show our love to Srila Prabhupada said that we can show that love only by cooperating with each other. And that's the greatest need right now for all of us, that we need each other. We need the cooperation in our society. And the root of entire Krishna consciousness we need to understand is that if we stay in cooperation with devotees. Krishna Bhakti Janma Moola Haya Sadhu Sangha. The mool is in the association of the devotees. And even if we get it, the Krishna Prem, just by fluke, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Krishna Prema Janme Teno Puna Mukhyanga. Even after we get it, still we need devotees. We need the association of the devotees. It is an indispensable factor in our Krishna consciousness practice. So we have to put so much of stress in cooperating with the devotees and not finding faults, and somehow or other, be a part of Srila Prabhupada's mission. Try to extend his compassion to all the fallen souls, however way we can, whatever little capacity we can. Let us try to spread that and get that compassion. Definitely, on my part, I feel that I do not have any devotion, nor do I, as Srila Prabhupada was praying that, nor do I have any knowledge. And definitely, Srila Prabhupada said he has a strong faith in holy name of Krishna, and I definitely don't have any faith in holy name of Krishna, because I always, as is the 10th offense, which is mentioned, that do not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting, and I commit this offense every day. So I pray that that somehow or other I can rise above this. But one thing is for sure, we just by associating with the devotees, by hearing from Srila Prabhupada disciples, by practicing the Krishna consciousness, we get sometimes a little bouts of the experiences of Krishna consciousness, realizations. We get some experience of Krishna consciousness, and our faith in Srila Prabhupada, that will instill us the devotion in us. That will give us the devotion, and that will give us the faith in the holy name of Krishna. On our own, it is not possible. On our own, no matter how much we endeavor it is we will always fall short. We need mercy. We need mercy of the devotees. We need mercy of Srila Prabhupada. and that will be only possible if we actually cooperate with each other, if we help each other. So with that prayers, with that small offering to Srila Prabhupada on this holy auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's arrival, on arrival in Boston. This is the 55th year, and of course 5 years down the line we'll be celebrating in a very, very grand way, but every year from now on, let us celebrate in our heart in a much grander way by being a wonderful example as a Srila Prabhupada soldier, okay, and serve this mission in a best possible way. Thank you to that prayers, and to all the devotees I offer my most humble obeisances. And after this, definitely we'll have our prayers in the temple hall, and we'll also offer a prayers outside the temple to Srila Prabhupada's statue, and then we'll come back again in the temple. We'll be offering our prayers to our deities. Those who haven't seen the deities today, so please see the deities pictures today. Okay. So with that, I would like to pause here and see if there is anything else before we actually begin our worship to Srila Prabhupada. Girzan Prabhu, do we have anything?
So Prabhuji, do you want to play a short snippet of Prabhupada's lecture? Or like
Yeah.
we can
I know, but I think we ran out of time, Prabhu. So
okay,
what?
Prabhu.
Because we have only 7 minutes. So what we can do is that maybe do we have a transcription of that 23 minutes?
Yes, Prabhu. We also have a 7-minute lecture.
7-minute lecture?
Yes, Prabhu. A short.
Play that. Yeah, play that 7 minute exactly. That fills fits into our timelines. So let's do that, and then after that we'll have our worship in the temple hall.
Yes, Prabhu.
God will give you facility to become one of his apostles. Come on. So nobody is seeking after God. When you seek after God, God is situated within your heart. He will give you all things. And so long you want to become God, you will be cheated because you are trying to cheat yourself. How you can become God? First thing is that you are trying to become God, then how you become a dog? God cannot become a dog. God is always God. The Mahavadi philosopher says that I am God, but I am, by Maya, I am thinking I am not God. So by meditation, I can become God. That means he is under the influence of Maya. So God has become under the influence of Maya. How is it that? God is great, and if he is under the influence of Maya, the Maya becomes great. How God becomes great? So the real idea is, so long we shall continue this hallucination that I am God, there is no God, everyone is God, so many things like that. There is no question of getting favor of God. Then you do your own business and try to find yourself, whether you are God or something else. As soon as I think that I am God, that is, I am trying to cheat myself, who will help me? That is going on. Everyone is thinking of God.
Is it done, Prabhu?
No.
So what you are doing? You are trying to become God, or what is your idea? Or you are thinking there is no God?
I'm thinking that there is one.
There is God? You are thinking like that?
I'm also see that I was trying to become God.
No. That you are trying to become God, that means you are not God. Is it not? How you become not God? How you become not God? God is so thing, such a many insignificant thing, just like so many things that it becomes not. Then God is great. Then how is great? Then your conclusion should be that I am not that God who is great. I am a different God who becomes sometimes not God. Therefore, you are a different God from that God who is great. Is it not? That is the fact. Because you are part and parcel of God, you are minute God, therefore you have the potential of becoming not God. Just like fire and spark of fire. This spark, when it is really fire, it is bright fire. But as soon as it goes out of the fire, it extinguishes. But the big fire never extinguishes. Similarly, you are not that big fire. You are that small spark fire. You have fallen down, therefore you are not God. Now you have to raise yourself again to the fire, you will again blazing spark. So that is the difference. That is stated in the Vedic literature as Brahma. Every living entity is Brahma. But the Supreme Brahma is Krishna. He never becomes not God. You see Krishna's life, when he was a child, on the lap of his mother, he is God. So many demons were killed. He hadn't got to meditate to become God. While he was playing, he was God. And when he was fighting in the battlefield, of course, he is God. That is God. Not that sometimes not God, sometimes God. That is not God. God is always God. In any circumstance. That is God. I am not God. I cannot eat so many. That is true. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Onai Prabhu. Sorry.
Yeah, Hare Bol. Prabhu, make Gagandeep Mataji as a host.
Hi, yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Vanamali Prabhu. Uh, the mics from the temple are muted, like Aganti Mataji's phone and your phones are muted.
Yeah, it's okay. I think we're
Okay, Prabhu.
yeah, we're starting now. We're starting the prayers now. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda. Yuktirapekshaniya. Tatradidaksha Rativallabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda. Akadridvena Samasta Shastra Uktastatha Bhavyata Eva Sabdi. Kintu Prabharya Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda. Yasya prasada Bhagavat prasada Yasya prasada Nagati Purpapi. Jayan Suva
Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Veshatarine Chaitanya Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sarma 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 Ando Moye Savadhana Ate Prasade Bhai He Bhavatoriya Prasade Bhai He Bhavatoriya Krishna Prapti Hoy Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Travel Mahotsav ki jai. I go for the should be in the Pushpajali, and then one Pushpajali will go outside. Can we do that? We can put on board. We have to tell them. We have to okay, Madhu, just go outside. Just tell them that we should be.
You want to put another one? Or just flowers? So we don't need a, we already have a garden. Yeah, should we all be very nice because there will be people passing by.
Yeah. Very good, Prabhu. Mukhchandra Prabhu, can you wear a mask? You have a mask? Let's get the mask. Let's get the mask. Okay. Hare Krishna devotees, we're going out. We're just we are stepping outside, and we'll offer our prayers there, and then we'll come back again to the temple. So give us a minute, okay?
Is this going outside? No, because this is the paper of the garden. I don't have the garden outside for the garden. This is the one I just made for. This one I just made for later stuff. Okay, is it too big? No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's go outside. Can you take the petals, Mataji?
I asked, she said no.
Take some petals. Okay. Prabhu, can we maintain 6 feet? Maybe you can stand there. So do you want to hold this? While I chant. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं येन स्वकदां ददाति स्वपदान्तिकां गुरो श्रीयुता पदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती इति नामिने श्री वार्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्दये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर्योज्वल प्रेमाध्याय श्री रूपानुग भक्तिदा श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्री मूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुग विरुद्धाप सिद्धांत ध्वंतहारिणे नमो गौर किशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्य मूर्तये विप्रलंब रसांभोदे पादांभुजाय ते नमः। नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौर शक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगवतायते गौराविर्भाव भूमेस्त्वं श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च नाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं मामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। जयतां सुरतो पंगोर मम मंदमतेर्गति मत सर्वस्व पादां भोजौ कल्पद्रुमदः श्रीमद् रत्नागर सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद् राधा श्रील गोविंद देव सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमान रास रसारंभी वंशी वट तटस्थित कर्शन वेणु स्वनैर गोपीर गोपीनाथा श्रेयस्तुनः तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। Now we'll say Srila Prabhupada Pranati Mantra 3 times and we'll offer the petals. Those who are at home, they can also offer. कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणे कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन इति नामिने गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे एष पुष्पांजलि। Let's do one in the temple. Should we do one in temple? Let's do. Prabhu, let's go. No, you can put it. Prabhu, let's do one in the temple. Huh? No, we will not come back. Let's do one. Let's take it. Let's. Okay. Dear devotees, now we're going to do the last Pranati Mantra in the temple hall to Srila Prabhupada. नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे एष पुष्पांजलि। जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय Radha Divasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Divasadi Gaur
His divine grace, the Bhakti Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Istantam Acharya Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nam Acharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivastava Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Shalakund Radha Kundi Gaura Ki Jai, Sri Vrindavan Ki Jai, Navadvipam Ki Jai, Tanmay Ki Jai, Guru Mai Ki Jai, Vasudeva Ki Jai, Bhakti Ki Jai, Samudit Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Radha Krishna Ki Jai, Gaura Premananda, all glory to the Samudit, all glory to the Samudit, all glory to the Samudit, all glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Prabhupada Arrival Festival ki. Srila Prabhupada Arrival Festival ki. Srila Prabhupada Arrival Festival ki. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. La 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 Shila Tankana Kalaye, Shila Tankana Kalaye, Ito Narsimha Bharato Narsimha, Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha, Sahi Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha, Sharanam Prapate Prabhakara Kamala Vare Rata Matutanina Charita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Krishna Ekava Sita Narahare Rupa Jaya Jagdisha Hare Jaya Jagdisha Hare Jaya Jagdisha Hare Prabhakara Kamala Vare Matutanina Charita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Krishna Ekava Sita Narahare Rupa Jaya Jagdisha Hare Jaya Jagdisha Hare Jaya Jagdisha Jaya Natugave 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 Jaya Natugave Jaya Natugave Natugave Jaya Natugave Jaya Narari 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 Jaya Narari Jaya Narari 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 Jaya Narari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki. The Prabhupada Arrival Festival ki. Shri Radha Gopurlabha ki. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki. Shri Gauritai ki. ISKCON Boston ki. Gundicha Dham ki. Shri Commonwealth Pier ki. I God Pranande. Here you go. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees, for joining during this weekday festival celebration. It is difficult to find time during the daytime. I know, especially when we are working, but we are grateful to all the devotees who have joined today on this auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's Arrival Festival. We'll be also celebrating this festival during the weekend of 18th, 19th, and 20th. Please stay tuned. Hopefully, we'll soon announce what exactly we are going to do it. We would like to take this opportunity and thank all the devotees who have gathered today since morning, and especially to all the devotees who have worked very hard for this virtual festival, Giridhan Prabhu and all our festival team. Thank you once again, all the devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Arrival Festival ki jai. For those devotees who are interested in sponsoring for any flowers, which we have today used for all the decoration of the altar and for the deities, as well as for Srila Prabhupada, feel free. We spent around $301 for the entire flowers and today. So do consider that. Thank you once again. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Giran Prabhu, do we have anything else?
No, Prabhuji. That's all.
Okay. So thank you once again. Okay. So then we can end the session now.
Sure, Prabhu.